Hi there, guys. Hi there, guys. I want to make sure that I can be heard. Um, I'm not really sure how to even do this video because I got three different incidents that I want to talk about on the subject of elder abuse. Um, but I was going to try to put the elder abuse in a certain light, because I'm trying to, and I actually have been trying to for a while, just didn't really know how to incorporate it on my channel, or should I do something separate or different. But I have been trying for a long time to find a way to begin to speak more on the elderly and elderly care, my experiences with working with the elderly and things like that. I guess in a way, kind of like self-help videos and videos for people and families and things like that who are caregivers for the elderly and things like that. Um, and I've been looking for a way to do that, to segue into doing that on my channel. And I didn't know if I needed another channel for it or what have you, but I'm just going to begin and kind of see where it goes from here. Um, the informational aspect of it, though, is probably going to be too long. So I will probably add that into another video or make a second part to it or just something like that. But for now, I had two stories that I wanted to touch on, where elders abuse is concerned. And then I got another story today, just today, um, and I'll just segue into it. Nancy Pelosi, uh, we know a whole lot of people don't like her. We have a lot of people who are on both sides of the fence politically and don't like a whole lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Politics is a real tricky and crazy subject, much like religion, that that people, I'm just going to say, get very, very fanatical about. And that's about the best and safest way I probably can say that. They get very fanatical. They get very, it's very close to their heart. And it causes people to do some crazy things. Um, but this particular incident, about Nancy Pelosi's husband, like I didn't have, I saw it, I think on YouTube. That's where I see most things. Um, because y'all know I don't watch news like that. I just, I just don't do it. I can't do it no more. Um, but at the end of the day, it happened today. Her husband is named Paul, Paul Pelosi. Um, and basically, some thug broke into these people's home and attacked this man, this elderly man. Um, I'm assuming the man had a hammer, they say, to probably to defend himself, you know, more than likely to defend himself. Um, and he was able to get his phone, put his phone down, and be able to kind of inadvertently talked to 911 while the attacker was there. Um, and I mean, beating anybody with a hammer, hitting anybody with a hammer on any part of their body is horrific, period. Um, and this man is an elder. This man is an elder. Which means his bones are weaker, his body, he's not as strong, he is slower, you know, as far as trying to be able to get away and things like this. Um, and it's just it's unfortunate. It was horribly, horribly unfortunate. They said he would, you know, the person was screaming, asking where was Nancy or what. I mean, but you know, I just I don't understand violence and all that. Like I don't understand what goes on in people's minds when they do certain things. You know what I'm saying? Um, Everybody can get violent. I'm not saying that you know I don't understand how somebody could get violent. I'm not saying that. But the things that people allow them to push them over the edge, the person obviously had to in some way already be over the edge in order for him to even do that. Um, and so there is something on my camera that I hope won't make a difference in the video. But so that was one elder attack. That happened today. Uh, from what I understand, the man is in the hospital, and I think they said he was probably going to make a full recovery. Working with the elderly for as long as I have worked with the elderly, close to 25, 30 years. Um, that's iffy. That's really iffy because um, elderly people, you know, despite the physical aspects of it, it was traumatic, very traumatic. I mean, to have someone break up in your home, that's one. Next, to be attacked, that's two. Next, he hollering for your wife. So I don't know where Nancy was. Like, I don't know if she was coming home soon. I don't know if he was, you know, I don't know what the situation was. That's traumatic too, you know. It's just so many factors. He will probably make according to the doctors, make a full recovery as far as physically. Uh, Mentally, I'm gonna be honest. I can't say how sure I am of that. I hope, I really hope, but like I said, have worked with the elderly for many years, and I've seen psychological effects. I've seen psychological effects of just a fall, and countless other effects on them that many times they are not able to recover from. And the more traumatic it is, the longer it lingers. Uh, it can just go so many ways, but I'm not going to get on that too much. The next situation, the actual initial situation um, that I was gonna make a video about was it was in Washington D.C. where it came across my timeline that some teenagers were physically pushing this black lady who was an elder as well. I think the lady's somewhere in her 50s, off a bus. just literally trying to push this woman off of a bus, and she was at the back of the bus and had her hands at, like holding on to those bars at the back of the bus, for any of you who know anything about public transportation. um and so I don't think that they were successful with pushing her off. uh but just the trauma of it, to see it, the audacity of the children, the disrespect of the children, you know. Um, and when I saw that, I'm gonna talk about that a little bit. When I saw that, as one who has, I've done a lot of public transportation over the years, and um, one of the things I hate the most, probably the thing I hate the most, is getting on them buses during school time, whether it is in the mornings, which is usually kind of rare for me though, because um, either my jobs usually start, if I'm gonna go that early, before the school children get on the bus. Um, and usually in the mornings, for whatever reason, they're not as rowdy as in the afternoons. Afternoons, they are just, you know what I'm saying, they really, honestly, uh I know that they're school buses, but some of these bus routes need to just pick up them children, and other people. Yeah, yeah, don't even need to be on there, I would say. And I guess that's everybody's decision as to whether or not they want to go ahead and get on the bus or not. I know people got things to do, places to go. They got to get to places as well. But um, those children are really, they're out of hand. It's ridiculous. Even from what I've seen, it is absolutely ridiculous. And when I saw that video, I already knew, and it was confirmed by me, because when I first saw the video, I saw like a certain part of it. I didn't see, um, I didn't really hear exactly what she said happened and all that kind of stuff. I was so fixated on just, the fact that they did that to her. And but first thing that hit my mind, she must have said something to them. She had to have said something to them. Now, please do not get me wrong at all. I am not saying at all that this is in any way her fault because she said something to him, I'm not saying that at all. Um, what I'm saying is that I knew that was pretty much the case. And I say that because I know how disrespectful these kids are. That's why I say that. That's why I say that. Because I'm a woman of a certain age. And I remember a time, I really do, when children were just a lot more respectful. They really were. They were a lot more respectful. There have always been disrespectful ones. I'm not saying that either. But there used to be a time when, and okay, mind you as well, I'm from the South. So Southern people raise their children different. That is not to say that other people from other places aren't raising their kids properly. What I'm saying is that I know how Southern people raise their children. I know how they raise them. Generally. And especially in my generation, you know what I'm saying? So um as time have gone on, you know, I have seen the disrespect. I have seen the change in children. I have absolutely seen the change in children. And I've lived in various states. So, the only place I haven't lived on the East Coast. Um, but yeah, I've seen the change over the years with children. You used to be able to say something to a child. You used to be able to. And they would be respectful and, correct their behavior. Or even if they didn't correct their behavior, they would still be respectful to you. They might still keep on doing it or whatever, but they're going to be respectful to you or try to, curb it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Um, but as time has gone on, and especially here in the West where I am, yeah, these kids are built different. They built so different. Um, they built different, way different. That on top of the times we're in, uh, and how the respect of elders is just gone. Now, why that is and all that, I'm gonna get to that because I understand there are factors. Um, but I also just believe, and this is just me, that everybody is due a certain level of respect. Everybody. Um, so that was the video initially that I was gonna make a video on, is them uh basically almost pushing that lady off the bus. I mean, it's so many factors to that. You got the kids, of course. Uh, I'm trying to figure out. I know the bus driver heard all that commotion back there. Like, I know you heard, the buses ain't that big. Even if it was a double Dutch bus, the bus, not double Dutch, but a double bus. Um, he had to have heard that. Now I know them kids get loud. They get very loud. But man, come on, you got side mirrors. You can see that back area. You can see, and so I have no idea. I don't know if he didn't want to get involved. I don't know if he didn't care. I don't know why you couldn't even at least call the police, the bus police. Every bus is called something different in different states, but the bus police. I don't know why you couldn't do that. Like, I mean, it's so many things that could have happened. Um, so anyway, um, I was looking because the next day or day after, what have you, um, it came across my timeline. Uh, teens arrested in elder beating or something like that. And so I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. I'm like, okay, so they have, got these kids and are going to do something about them, attacking this lady and um yeah. So I click on it. It's a whole nother story. It's a whole nother story in a whole nother city. Um, this was in Philadelphia. This was an elderly man, 73 years old, if I'm not mistaken, who and I don't. I think they said it was 2 o'clock in the morning. All I know is it was dark. Um, but they say the man's family said that he'd been walking that same way, I guess, to get home or whatever, for years. Like, he lives in that neighborhood. Now while these children are out at 2 o'clock in the morning is a whole different thing, and y'all know I got a lot to say about that as well, because uh my daughter was one who was out there like that, uh that time of morning sometime. Uh and I just cross my fingers and am so grateful that um she didn't get caught up in anything like that. Now I'm a, and I know everybody, feel like the parent is biased and they say, oh, well, my child wouldn't. But I can pretty much say, knowing my daughter, um, even with all of the disrespect and the way that she was carrying herself at that time, she wouldn't have beat up no old person. She wouldn't have done anything like that. Um, not on her own. Not and more than likely, probably would have tried to do something to help. Because I've said in many other videos, if you all remember, my daughter is always the one who, you know, uh, tries to rescue the underdog. I've made videos about that. Y'all can, attest to that. I've said that. So um, that's not a part of her nature. Now, being with other kids who may have done some dumb shit like that, who's to say? I don't know. I don't know. Because she was with some real knuckleheads that got her in a lot of trouble. Uh, yeah, you know. But this is not about her. Um, this is about the fact that they um, assaulted this man. And they said ultimately what happened, the man fell down, hit his head, and later died at the hospital. Um, and so all those children are hopefully going to get charged with something. That I saw a young girl actually, because I think it was a couple girls out there with those little boys, and I saw that young girl pick up that big old traffic cone and hit that man at least twice. When y'all go back and watch the video, you will see that. So, I think they arrested a 14-year-old. Well, they didn't arrest. They arrested him, but they basically turned themselves in. A boy, 14-year-old boy, and I think and his 10-year-old brother, 10 years old, 10 years old. What the hell you out there at 2 o'clock in the morning? Like for real? So, yeah, it's tragic. It's tragic. And so those are the three stories that I wanted to touch on with, you know, talking about elder abuse. Um, I mean, we are in a time, like I said, just going back, we are in a time where, um, you really can't say nothing to kids anymore. I remember I stopped years ago. Years ago I stopped saying anything to kids. Um because yeah, they are so disrespectful. And like I say, there was a time when I would speak up and say something to a kid or whatever, and they would, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, or, whatever. Oh, we apologize. And, even some of them would be like, oh, yeah, y'all quit talking. Y'all don't see that lady there. Y'all quit cursing. And, they would try to be respectful. You know what I'm saying? But now, the reason that I know that it started because that lady said something to them is because I haven't just outright said anything to them on the bus, but I have like looked at them before. Like I've looked at them because I'm really like, I can't believe y'all sitting up here just doing all this cursing, and not only me as an adult, it's other adults and everything around. And y'all are just cussing or whatever and just saying nasty, vulgar. I mean, just. And when I look at them, these kids look back at you. They look back at you like you got a problem. Like, what's wrong with you? Like you got something to say, you know? And just with that, just the boldness of the defiance that I could see in their attitude, and the fact that they don't even stop. They don't even slow down. They don't try to stop. Like they don't, none of that, you know? I'm like, Okay, gotcha, gotcha. So, like I say, I stopped long time ago. Give me my battery. Sorry, my battery was running low. Um, but yeah, so I stopped years ago saying anything to them, and I'm very sorry that this happened to that lady, because at the end of the day, she does have a right to ask them to stop being so goddamn disrespectful and stop cursing, and it's no telling what they were saying or talking about, because it ain't no limit to those children's mouth. You know what I'm saying? But we're just at a time, where elder abuse, and disrespect of the elderly is really at an all-time high. Um, Not only children do it, other grown-ups do it, and I understand that they're grown. Just hear me out. I understand that they're grown, but as I said, I still am. It's more than likely how I was raised, that everybody is still due a certain level of respect. And I was raised in that generation. I know people don't agree with it anymore, but I was raised in that generation where you just respect your elders, you know. Now I get the fact that every elder is not uh, respectable. I get that. It's so many reasons for that. I mean, it's so many reasons for that. One of the reasons also, just to make it personal, one of the reasons also, I stopped for a long time trying to speak to younger women in their 20s, women in their 30s, and so forth, especially saying anything about their children at all. Like yeah. And that is so sad, because many times an older woman can tell you something about your children, you know what I'm saying? And they can help you. But I also know that you got a lot of disrespect for elders. I also know you got a lot of elders who don't know how to talk to people. Um, I understand that you got a lot of elders who come at you the wrong way. All of that, all of that. I get it. I got it. And especially if you grown and they're grown, I get it. They I get it. I really do. I get it. So it's kind of hard to speak on anyway, in a way, because like I say, I wish this society and America was more respectful to elders and to their elders. Um, but we're just in a different time. And I also say that because I do understand also that we have so many elders who don't live respectable lives. They're not trying to give wisdom. They are not trying to live better for those coming behind them to see. Like half of I mean, to me, honestly, and I've even said this about the older men of, especially right now, my generation, and maybe a little bit younger, but these older men are horrible. They're absolutely horrible. These are the ones that are bitter. They are angry. They are nasty. These are the ones who didn't take care of their children, didn't take care of their families, didn't take care of the women in their lives or whatever. Probably didn't never work. Probably basically ain't been shit all their life. And yet they're out here trying to give these young men advice. and they messing their minds up. They're messing their heads up. You know what I'm saying? These older men, these all these manosphere guys, these that other piece of shit that died, David Carroll, uh, him too. He hated women. He hated black women. You know what I'm saying? And they get on these videos and these podcasts and stuff, and they rant, and they are nasty and disrespectful, and it's nothing about them that the younger generation can get anything good from. They are literally, in my opinion, infiltrating these young people's minds. I did a video um not too long ago, and it was something to the effect of how these older men, these younger men are fighting the battles of these older men. It's a video, and I believe that is the title, or somewhere thereabout. Um, because that is exactly what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because of all of their rhetoric and their hate and their bad experiences, they are putting it on these younger men and poisoning the minds of these younger men about the women, about even having a fair chance of them going out and experiencing it on their own. Like they're just telling them so much garbage about everything. And these young men and everything are listening to this stuff, and it's like half of that stuff they've never even experienced that stuff. Child support, and oh, my ex-wife did this and I had to pay her this, and that bitch this and da, da, da. And these are 20, 30 something year old men who ain't even married yet, who don't even have those kind of experiences yet. And they're being infiltrated, and their minds are being just completely messed up. So many of these young black children, they getting ratchet behavior from ratchet ass aunties, ratchet grandmas, ratchet uncles, ratchet. It's just so much ratchetness. It really is. And I think a lot of it also is, I don't know, when did it start? In the 80s or something, maybe? When grandmas started being 35. You know what I'm saying? My grandma, my grandma was in her 70s when I was, well, maybe she was in her 60s or something when I was born. I don't know. Yeah, probably late 60s, getting ready to be in her 70s. Like my grandma was already old. She died when I was what, like 15, and she was 85. So I didn't have no 35-year-old grandma. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a whole different mindset. It is a whole different mindset. Um, I wanted to tell this too. I also remember, because I was in church a lot of my young, like early adulthood, not so much as a child and all that kind of stuff, just kind of off and on then. But into my 20s and all that kind of stuff, and mostly in my 30s and everything, is when I was in church very much. Is when I was in ministry, very actively in ministry. Um, and I began to see the change there too. I began to see the change. I began to see where the church mothers who, in some denominations, probably like the Pentecostals and stuff like that, they had actual church mothers and stuff like that. I grew up Church of Christ, so we didn't have that. But as I ventured out and start visiting other denominations, learning about them and things like that, I began to see different things. And so, um, just the elder mothers, just the older women in the church. Um, there was a time, like I say, when they were really acting in behalf of the mothers. You know what I'm saying? Like they were respectable. They were the church mothers. Like you, like all they got to do is look at you as a kid and you gonna straighten up, that kind of thing. They were the ones who, when the young lady would come into church, um, with the short dress on, or with too much makeup, or just whatever. I'm not pinpointing any denomination, but when she would come in, not, and she was unchurched, put it like that. These were the women who used to pull her to the side and, gather around her and love on her and get her some better clothes, or tell her something about some better clothes or something like that. There was a time, you know. Please don't nobody come to me about that whole come as you are thing and all that kind of stuff. Because first of all, like I say, I've been in ministry many, many years, and that really don't have nothing to do with dress. It really don't. It has to do with your heart. So that's a whole nother thing. But it can be used for it could be used for dress. It can. It could be used for dress. But these women were loving and kind and patient. And after a while, it turned into a young lady like that coming to the church and, oh, now girl, she wrong for coming in here like that. That dress too short. Why would she bring her behind up in here like that? And she just flouncing in front of all these men and blah blah blah. And she ought to be ashamed of herself. And then it changed to that. Then it changed to that. And then it changed to she in front of all these men, and she looking at it became a competition thing instead of, baby, come here, let me talk to you. Let's sit down. Let's open up the word together, and let's talk about um decency or whatever, or let's talk about your heart, you know, because here's the truth of the matter. Here's the truth of the matter of that come as you are, um, that they like to talk about, because there's really not even the scripture. I can't think of the scripture at the moment that they're trying to uh, put in there, but it's something about God accepting you, or you coming to God as you are, and just giving Him your heart. And here's the truth about that. The reason that it's about your heart is because when you give God your heart, or when you allow your heart to be open to the word and to all that comes with that, that's going to change how you dress. That's going to change like everything about you. And so it takes time as you keep coming to church, and as you keep um learning and growing in the word and things like that. Um Keep coming. Keep coming. If you got to wear a short skirt, keep on coming. Somebody can give you a little something to put across your lap, something like that. That's the way it should be. But like I say, I remember when it went from the sweet church mother trying to minister to the young lady, the ladies of the church trying to minister to her. Until she ought to be ashamed of herself. She had me coming up in here like that. That makes a big difference to people and how they act and how they respond and how they even come to God. You know what I'm saying? Like so many people are not in the church and won't go to the church and left the church because of behavior like that. You know what I'm saying? And just at the end of the day, there should be a certain amount of wisdom, a certain amount of understanding that comes with getting older. We know that ain't always the case. We know there's so many old fools out there. Ain't no fool like an old fool. That is the truest saying, if there ever is one. That is a very true statement. Ain't no fool like an old fool. And I've seen a lot of old fools. I've seen a lot of old fools, and it's sad and it's disheartening. But at the end of the day, it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So I said all that to say that I understand that we don't have a lot of good examples of elders. Uh, there are a lot of good ones, but it seem like where it's needed, you don't have it. You know what I'm saying? And the children have lost a lot of respect. Now, I also get, like I said, especially in the case of those children trying to throw that woman off the bus, them definitely assaulting that old man. Like, it ain't no excuse for that, period. Like, it just ain't no excuse for that. You know what I'm saying? That's criminal behavior. Like that completely bypasses respecting your elders. That's just straight up demonic criminal behavior. Like that's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Um, and it's sad and it's unfortunate. Even the one who broke into uh, Nancy Pelosi and her husband's home, uh, I'm almost certain this was a younger man, and I thank God that Nancy Pelosi wasn't there. That ain't, I'm not that ain't saying that I'm part of no political whatever, that I'm, I like this group over that group. I'm just saying in general. It's horrible that what they tried to do. Uh, she's an elder. He's an elder. I mean, come on. To me, at a certain point, and I'm getting ready to turn the video off, but to me, at a certain on certain subjects, I don't care. I don't care about color. I don't care about religion. I don't care about politics. I don't care about anything but respect. And that is with the elderly and that is with children. That to me, like like that's just a line that you just drive. I mean, in the kind of work that I'm in, and people may not agree with me, but the kind of work that I'm in healthcare, even when it comes down to races, do you know, being in the South and in Mississippi, because I worked in Mississippi in healthcare, and believe me, I've seen the racism. I've seen the racism. I've heard it, you know. Um, and so, with that being the case, I don't hold, I mean, when you're in healthcare, you have a responsibility to lay certain stuff aside. And I've had people be racist and say little stuff, you know. I don't slack my care. I really don't. I don't slack my care. I still give the type of care that I would give to anybody else. I may not give them as much attention. Like I ain't gonna be popping up in your room and how you doing and all that. I ain't gonna do all that. But I'm not gonna slack on my care. I'm not gonna do that, you know. Um, I'm just not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? So um I just have boundaries when it comes to the elders and like I say, children. Um, I wish everybody did, but they don't, you know. Um, but yeah, you guys, I'm gonna stop right there. Tell me what you all think about those three instances. Tell me how you think and how you've seen um, the respect change from elders through the generations. Um, do you think that everybody deserves a certain level of respect, or are you one of those people who only think that, I respect who respect me? You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, yeah, I would love to know because I know viewpoints change. You know what I'm saying? It ain't my place to judge right or wrong anybody's how they feel about it or whatever. I just would like to hear it. What you think. What do you think about the situation between with all these attacks on the elder? I mean, what do you think? I would love to know. So, um, that's it. That's all I got to say on this video. But I'm going to talk more about it because, like I said, I want to get more into the caregiving and, some of the stories and things that I have witnessed and things that I think really probably would help caregivers and family members and things like that who take care of the elderly, because it's not easy. It's hard. It's hard when they're just elderly, let alone when you start adding sickness to it, and when you start adding Alzheimer and dementia and these different type of cognitive diseases like that. When you start adding those, it makes it worse. And I'm hoping that maybe, some of the videos I make will eventually be able to maybe help somebody to, teach you how to cope and teach you the skills and things that I know, I practice, and that I've learned over the years. So, with that being the case, thank you guys for watching. Hit the notification bell, please. Leave me a comment, thumbs it up, um, or down, but I hope you thumbs it up, and let me know what you think. And you guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for my new subscribers. I have noticed, and I thank you all so much because you do not have to be here, and you are, and I'm so grateful. Uh, just so grateful and honored that you come by my channel and listen to me. Uh, until the next video, we'll see you next time.